'Tis the season for taxes. Most of you know what I'm talking about if you're self-employed, if you're a business owner, self-employed individual, somebody that gets Schedule C income or 1099 income. September 15th and October 15th are your tax filing deadlines. An important thing to understand is, what are you going to do about those IRAs and 401ks that you're making contributions to? We're going to talk about a strategy for those of you who love Roth IRAs on how you can maximize Roth contributions in something we call the Mega Back Door Roth. The Mega Back Door Roth is not a type IRA, very specific. It's a strategy that one can use to use different Roth vehicles or different IRAs as a way to contribute more money than your typical Roth IRA, but end up getting more contributions into a Roth type account. This could be very, very advantageous and even life-changing to those of you who are taking, say, self-directed accounts and investing your Roth IRAs currently into real estate or promissory notes or oil and gas interests or even cryptocurrency. So pay attention to how this Mega Backdoor Roth works and how it might be beneficial to you. So the first thing to talk about in this scenario is your Roth IRA in general. If you have earned income as an individual, you can make contributions to either traditional IRA or a Roth IRA. The contribution limits are relatively small. So these are your personal plans, and the limit to make contributions to is up to $6,000 if you're under the age of 50 and $7,000 if you're above the age of 50. And all it requires is that you have some sort of earned income. Now, a lot of you have already been using this trick, which could be called maybe a mini backdoor Roth. But if you exceed the income limits to make a Roth contribution, what you've been forced to do is make contributions to a traditional IRA because there's no income limit to do that, and then backdoor that into a Roth via Roth conversion. The second step in this process is using a 401k or an employer-sponsored plan. And for those of you who are self-employed, you may have a solo 401k. And a lot of you might know that in a 401k, whether it's a solo 401k or a 401k at your job, you can contribute up to $19,500 as an employee. Now, this increases above the age of 50, where you're allowed to make contributions up to $26,000, and that can be Roth money. All you have to have is income at least in that amount. So if you're over the age of 50 and you make at least $26,000, you can make a $26,000 Roth contribution to a 401k. So with your personal plan contributions of either a direct Roth contribution or a backdoor contribution to a Roth, that's $7,000 if you're above 50, added to your 401k contribution as an employee of $26,000, gets us at total Roth money of $33,000. Now here's the tricky part. You have to make sure that your 401k plan administrator allows for this. You'd have to ask them or search in your plan documents to see if your 401k allows for non-deductible employee contributions. Now, what this non-deductible or after-tax employee contribution is, if your plan allows for it, is the difference between what you contribute as an employee, add to that your employer matching contributions. You can make up the difference all the way up to the contribution limit for the 401k and make that as an after-tax employee contribution. So for example, if you're over the age of 50, the maximum you can contribute to a 401k is $64,500. Let's assume you max out your employee portion, and that's directly to the Roth component of the 401k. That's $26,000 you can make to your Roth portion. If your employer doesn't match, if your plan allows for it, you can make an additional after-tax employee contribution of $38,500, bringing you to a total of $64,500. But you don't want that $38,500 to grow tax deferred since you never got the deduction. So what a lot of investors do is they convert that additional contribution over to a Roth, thus giving them in their Roth side of their 401k $64,500 plus the additional IRA personal contribution outside of the 401k of the $7,000. So that brings us all the way to $71,500 in 1 year, all in a combination of Roth contributions and or Roth conversions. Now, some of you might be saying, Nate, I don't have an extra $38,000 or $50,000 to throw in a 401k, or I don't even have a 401k. Don't worry, there's other strategies for you. For instance, let's say you and you have a spouse and you both have earned income. Let's say your earned income is above the income limit to make contributions to a Roth. There's nothing preventing you from making a contribution to a traditional and then converting it to a Roth, and then your spouse also doing the same. Besides that, there's other accounts that might be advantageous to you. Have you ever thought about a health savings account? Health savings accounts are a great way and they work similar to Roth, but you actually get a tax deduction when you make a contribution to a health savings account. There are some qualifying criteria to have one, but if you have one, you know the power in this. Making a contribution to a health savings account, if you're covered by a family plan on your insurance, you can contribute up to $7,200, and that's dollar for dollar tax deductible. It can be invested like a Roth IRA, but the distributions you take can be taken out anytime, tax-free and penalty-free, to pay for qualified out-of-pocket health expenses. Beyond that, you can look at other accounts like an education savings account for your kids. Education savings accounts are great for minors who you have education expenses that you're looking to pay for. Contributions are not tax deductible like the HSA, but the distributions work in a similar fashion where you can invest the ESAs set up for your children, and the distributions can be used to pay for qualified out-of-pocket education expenses all the way from kindergarten through college. And you can even go beyond that point if your kids are a little bit older and they have earned income. What about setting up Roth IRAs for them? If they work a summer job, it doesn't matter how old they are, anybody can contribute to a Roth IRA as long as they have earned income. So think of all the ways and creative strategies that you can use to get money in to large Roth buckets. And whether you have different accounts or not, the important thing to know is that you can always partner accounts together to make investments. And when we talk about self-directed IRAs, we always focus on the partnering aspect of it. So make sure you reach out to one of my IRA specialists at iraspecialists@newviewtrust.com so that they can do a proper consultation with you. Consultations are always free with us, but they can ask you the right questions to make sure that you get the right account set up for your investment strategy needs. Stay tuned with us. Follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more tips and tricks and self-directed IRA secrets from New View Trust Company.